What's up guys, my name's Brandon and today we're going to be unboxing the brand new iPhone 17 in every color offered by Apple. So we have lavender, we have sage, we have mist blue, we have black, and we have white. So of course in this video we're going to unbox all of these. We're going to do a detailed color comparison indoors and outdoors. We're going to take a look at the new features and just give you my overall first impressions. Okay, so which one should we start with? Let's go ahead and start with the black because this year we did not get a black Pro, only a black in the base model and in the Air model. So we're going to start with black here. You can see the design of the box, a very familiar look to what we're used to, feels about the same. But this year we did get 256 gigs as the starting storage instead of 128, and the price stayed the same. So the price is still $829. You can subtract $30 if you activate with a carrier, but unlocked it's $829. So double the storage, we got much better battery life, we got a much better display, which we'll talk about, and still the same price. Kind of crazy. I think the 17 is going to be a hot seller this year. So anyways, let's start with the black. Let's go ahead and pull off the peel tabs, the infamous peel tabs on these iPhone boxes. Let's check out this black. I'm curious to see if it's going to be like a pure black or more of a lighter shade of black. Okay, so that's black. I mean, that's what you'd expect. It kind of has that matte feel to it. And man, it's refreshing to see black after unboxing the Pros and only having that deep blue. So here's what it looks like. The back looks pretty much the same as the 16. So I'll bring over a 16 right here so you can see this is the ultramarine. So big difference in colors here, but you can see the difference in the camera. So the camera lenses do look a little bit larger on the 17, which is interesting because on the 17 Pros, they look a little bit smaller than last year's. And by the way, if you're curious about how that deep blue looks compared to the black on the 17, this is what they look like side by side. So it really makes the deep blue look a lot more blue than it did before I had the black to compare it to, but that's a little mini comparison there. Now also with the 17 this year, we do have a 6.3 inch display. So that's up from 6.1 inches on the 16 series. So we'll compare that as well. By the way, in the box, nothing else except for our braided USB-C cable as usual. So let's go ahead and take off the screen protector here. Love that. Let's go ahead and turn it on, and you can see this is the 16. So in the hand, they feel the same. Like we do have a bigger display by 2 inches, but it feels about the same in the hands, which I guess is a good thing to have a bigger display and have it still feel, pretty much the same in the hands and not overly large. And the more I look at this, the more I realize it's not really a pure black. It's more of like a dark graphite, I would say. Like it has really gray undertones more than a pure black, which I think works for this phone. Okay, so let's move on to my favorite color before actually seeing them in person. So when I made my pre-order video, I said that sage, I believe, is going to be my favorite color this year because I love greens. I'm a sucker for green phones. So this one looks pretty promising. So you can see the iPhone in green on the side, along with the Apple logo on top in that sage color. And I'm already getting the green iPhone 15 over here to compare it to because that was a really light shade of green. So let's see how that compares. So let's go ahead and pull off these peel tabs on this one. We did get the 256 gig for all of these, by the way, base model for all of them, since I will not be using them as my main device most likely. So here we go. Let's see what that looks like. And oh man, that looks pretty similar to what you see online. Maybe a little bit darker. And you can see here, even on the box, it looks a bit lighter on the box than it does here. But man, I like that. I actually really like that. You could see how it compares to the 15 here. The 15 was a very, very light shade of green, so it's not surprising to see this sage color be a little bit darker. I'm really curious to see how this does in the sun, so I will be testing that later on in this video, how it looks in the sun. I'm sure it will look a good bit different, a good bit brighter maybe. So we'll see. That's what the borders look like as well. It used to be a mint green on the 15, and you can see it's more of that, dark sage green, as the name implies. And we'll go ahead and peel this off and go ahead and turn this on. So by the way, like I was saying about the display, so the display this year not only got increased to 6.3 inches from 6.1 on the 16, but also it gets the 120 hertz ProMotion display. So finally, on the base model, the cheapest iPhone you can get, you get the same display as the Pros, which is insane. So we also have the same 3000 nits of peak brightness that the Pros have, which is crazy. So this thing's gonna get extremely bright. We do also have that anti-reflective screen, which you can see, if you put it in the light, you can see it kind of reflects off a little bit. And here's how it compares to the S25 Ultra, which has that anti-reflective display as well. So it doesn't reflect near as much or anti-reflect near as much as the S25 Ultra, but that's because the colors are probably going to look a little bit more vibrant and they're not going to be as washed out as they are on the S25 Ultra. It's not like it's bad on the Ultra, it's just not as intense of an anti-reflective coating as Samsung put on that phone. So at least we have something on the iPhone for once. Now, something else to know about the iPhone 17 is that we have much better battery life this year. So again, price is the same, display is better, bigger display, and much better battery life. I mean, it's pretty hard to not just want to go with the base model this year. But anyways, yeah, battery life, much better because we now have 30 hours of battery life when watching videos or 27 hours when streaming. So that is about 8 hours longer than the iPhone 16, which Apple rates for 22 hours. So obviously that's Apple's ratings. We have to test that in real life. I will be doing a battery test, a drain test here on the channel to see how much better it actually is over the iPhone 16. But I'm really curious because that seems like a big jump in battery life. But here's the kicker. It's not just the battery life. We also have much faster charging on the iPhone 17 compared to the iPhone 16. So now Apple says you can fast charge up to 50% in just 20 minutes. However, there is a catch to that. You can't just use any old brick. You do have to have a 40-watt brick to be able to charge super fast on your iPhone 17. Now, thankfully for you, you don't need to go onto Amazon and start searching for 40-watt power adapters because I have one right here for you, and that's from today's sponsor, Baseus. And it's actually tiny and much more than 40 watts. So this is the new Baseus Pico Go 2, which is a stylish yet well-built 67-watt charger that is tiny for that type of power. So it can fit in your pocket because it's 60% smaller than Apple's 67-watt charger. We have two USB-C ports and a USB-A, which allows you to charge multiple devices at once using the full charging speed, even when charging a MacBook Air and an iPhone 17 at the same time. So it's going to charge up that new MacBook Air from 0 to 42% in just 30 minutes. And you don't have to worry about overheating since Baseus uses temperature control tech with chips from the same factory as Apple. And then we also have the Pico Go AM31. This is a 5,000 milliamp hour Qi 2 magnetic power bank that attaches to the back of your phone, and it lets you juice up at 15 watts. It's super thin and lightweight with this little kickstand on the back, and it even has a 20-watt USB-C port for simultaneous charging. So if you want to pick up some great charging accessories for your iPhone 17, now is the perfect time to do it with Baseus using my link down in the description below. Okay, so now let's move on to the Mist Blue color, which I love the name of that color, by the way. This is probably my favorite color name of the iPhone 17 series. So this is Mist Blue. It looks pretty similar to blues that we've seen in the past, but hopefully it is a little bit different looking. And of course we have the blue color matching on the sides and on the top. So let's go ahead and do the peel tab thing as usual. Take off these peel tabs. Let's go ahead and open up this Mist Blue. And ooh, okay. I like that actually. So it's very safe. It's very subtle. It's not too out there. I think the Sage is a little bit more out there and a little bit more, I don't want to say controversial, but not as many people will like it. I think it's pretty hard to not like the Mist Blue this year. I mean, this is it can go either way. Like male, female, doesn't really matter your taste. It's a good looking phone. Like clearly it's not going to be nearly as punchy and as controversial as the Ultramarine from last year. I mean, just take a look at the difference in Ultramarine and this color right here, this Mist Blue. So Mist Blue, a lot more, I guess less saturated and less punchy, especially around the camera bump right there. You could see a big difference. And then the borders are a little bit more similar than the back is. And of course, when you look at it from the front, this pops a little bit more, but you could see that comparison there. And by the way, the cameras on the back for the iPhone 17 are not the main selling point this year. I feel like the main selling point in terms of cameras for the base model 17 this year, because we don't have the crazy zoom like the pros have, is the selfie camera. The selfie camera on the front has an amazing new center stage, feature, and it's also 18 megapixels now. So that front-facing camera is going to be a big improvement for the base model, and you will also have that square sensor, which allows you to take, portrait or landscape shots without physically turning your phone. Auto adjust for that. And also, like center stage will zoom out when you have more people in the photo, so you can take that and kind of get everybody in the photo without cropping people's heads off. So I will be trying that later on in this video, showing you how that works as well. Now let's move on to the very safe white color. So it's just called white this year, nothing special, and I'm expecting this to look pretty similar to the iPhone 16 Pro and the iPhone 16e down here. So let's see how this compares to those colors. So let's go ahead and take off these peel tabs right here, as I've done a million times already today. And let's take a look at that white. Okay, so Yeah, it looks pretty similar. It's a little bit different than these two, but really it's going to be hard to tell unless you're like me seeing these in person. But you can see how it compares to the white titanium on the 16 Pro. I would say it's pretty close. I mean, it's a little bit less of a pure white, more of like a cream, I would say, than the white titanium. And here it is compared to the 16E, which again, it's probably closer actually to the 16E than it is the 16 Pro titanium white. But at the end of the day, it's just white. So you can't really expect white to look too different from generation to generation. So that is what the borders look like, by the way. We have the silver borders, which complement that white color very well. So let's move on to the final one over here, which is lavender. And I have the iPhone 14 here, which came in purple as well. So from the outside, they look pretty similar. The iPhone 14 might be a little bit darker, but we'll have to go ahead and wait and see. So let's pull off these peel tabs here for the lavender color. I believe that's the first time Apple has called a color lavender. So let's go ahead and take this off and see how it compares. That's actually more similar than I thought to the iPhone 14. So we can see how that compares there. So if you do have the purple iPhone 14, this is going to be a great comparison. It's actually going to be pretty similar. You may not want lavender now after seeing that it might be the same color, unless you really love this type of shade, but very, very similar. This is actually one of the most similar shades I've seen compared to a previous generation, aside from like black or white. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a closer look at all of these colors outside and inside in various lighting conditions. Okay, so we are on the home screen now. So the first thing I actually want to do is go ahead and create a new wallpaper so we could see the new wallpaper for the iPhone 17. So let's go ahead and cancel out of that. We're going to go down until we get to the collections section, and we should see our color matching wallpaper right there. So that is the iPhone 17 wallpaper. It's, you know, customized for Sage. You can see the different ones there. So I really like the wallpaper this year. It's a little bit different, a little bit more going on, but it is pretty cool. So we'll go ahead and add that as a wallpaper pair. And then once we get to our home screen, I want to haptic press right here and go into customize and go to tinted, because we could also color match our icons to our device. If we tap right there, it will now change the color of our icons to match the device color that we have. And if you have an iPhone case from Apple, you could go ahead and tap on this and it will color match the MagSafe case that you have. So we're going to color match our iPhone's color, and you can see that will change the icons to look like that. So you could also make them dark if you would like to. I think light actually looks better right now, but that is what it looks like. Pretty cool. It's a pretty good match to my Sage iPhone 17 here. Now let's go and check out that front-facing camera. So as you can see for the rear-facing camera, we do have the 0.5x, 1x, and the 2x, which by the way, I don't want to undermine the rear-facing camera. The front-facing camera did get a bigger upgrade, I think, with the new features, but I do not want to undermine the 0.5x, the ultra-wide camera lens for the base 17 either, because this did get a nice upgrade. So it now has a new 48 megapixel Fusion ultra-wide camera that captures up to 4 times the resolution compared to the 16 ultra-wide camera. So yes, both of the lenses on the iPhone 17 are going to be 48 megapixels. So your ultra-wide shots could look better with they should look better, I should say, than the iPhone 16. So if you're a fan of the 0.5x, which I'm a big fan of, I think that is a big benefit. Now, if we switch this camera around, you will see that we have a new little glyph icon up at the top, and that is for center stage. Just like we've had on the Mac for a while and on the iPad, we now have that on the iPhone, and it will now auto zoom and also auto rotate. And it says center stage can zoom and rotate to fit everybody in. So what it means by rotate is it can take like a portrait or a landscape photo without you actually changing the direction of your phone like that. You could just hold it back like you're taking a regular selfie, and it will adjust that accordingly based on who's in the photo. It's pretty cool. So it's hard to test that right now since it's just me in the studio, but I will be testing that in later reviews. I just at least wanted to show you that it does exist up there. And I do also want to show you the dual recording. So there is also a feature in here to dual record. So let's see where that is. Okay, so there it is. It's dual capture. So if we go ahead and tap on that, you can see it will dual capture. So it will, capture the front facing camera and the rear facing camera at the same time. We do have a glyph up there for that as well. So if I put it over these phones right here, and you can see my front facing camera is right there. So if I press on record and I record both the front facing camera and the rear facing camera at the same time, let's see how that turns out as an actual video. So if we go into here, you can see that is what it looks like. It actually exports like that, showing the front and the back, which this could actually be really good for vlogging, for example. And man, I will tell you, just from holding this phone, the 17, it gets so much warmer, so much hotter on the back of the phone compared to the Pro models this year. Like the iPhone 17 Pro does have the vapor chamber cooling system, and I will tell you right now, it makes a difference. Like I didn't think much of it when I unboxed the 17 Pros first, but after feeling the 16 Pro and how warm it gets, that makes me really appreciate the unibody aluminum design on the 17 Pro and that vapor chamber cooling system. So it's either the design or the vapor chamber or both, but I can tell a difference pretty much right away. So of course I'll do a lot more extensive testing to see how big of a difference it actually is, but that's just my overall first impressions. I'm surprised by how much cooler those stayed. But the performance in the iPhone 17 is going to be no slouch. I mean, we do have the A19 chip, so the A19 Pro is on the Air and on the Pro models, but we do have the base A19 chip, which is still going to be plenty powerful. That's also how we get so efficient with this phone and get much better battery life than the 16 series. So that will be interesting to test, and I will be testing that in future videos as well, along with my full review. And I will tell you what, man, this display is great. Like again, we have that 120 hertz refresh rate now on the base model, and it feels like a Pro. Like just using this phone, I feel like I'm using a Pro phone right now. I've never felt that when I unboxed the iPhone, like the base model iPhone before. So just the overall fluidity of it, the brightness, like everything, it just feels like a Pro phone, which again, it's pretty much the same display, so that is expected. And if you go into here, you can see we do also have the always on display for the first time on the base model iPhone. So you can go ahead and set that up, and now when you lock your device, you can see you have your always on display that will show your time, your dates, and your notifications, and your wallpaper. Okay, so I have a lot more testing I need to get to, so I need to wrap this video up, but I hope you guys enjoyed this unboxing of all of the iPhone 17 colors. Make sure you check out my video if you're curious about the Pro colors and also about the iPhone Air colors and my overall first impressions of those. But I have to say, so far, I'm most impressed with the iPhone 17, the base model, just for the value you're getting for the price. It's pretty incredible, honestly. So I love the other phones, but it's hard to beat the value of this phone. So more thoughts to come. But anyways, guys, let me know what your favorite color is down in the description below. Also, make sure to check out the Baseus charging accessories down in the description below. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.